Okay, today we are going to learn how to make these flowers out of two different materials and two different ways. So let's get into it. For the first way, we are going to use a chiffon, or you could actually use any fabric. This is just a chiffon that I had laying around, but you could use sequin, you could use satin, you could use anything really. I think sheer fabrics look pretty, and but the thick ones look great as well. So anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to put a piece of double-sided fusing on the first layer, and then we're going to cut out a whole lot of just random lengths of really fine wire. Um, and you can find this at craft stores or anything, and you just want it to be really, really thin, because sometimes it will show through, or you will kind of see an outline of it. So yeah, just get the thinnest one you can, and then you're going to put them you're going to put them all the same way, so either vertically or horizontally, and then just kind of lay them randomly out in strips, really. And again, it's not an exact science. And then you put the other piece of fabric on top, and you're going to bond them together with the double-sided fusing. Now, don't worry if there are any bubbles or wrinkles at this point, because again, that's going to be fixed in the next step, which we'll get to. But just make sure that the double-sided fusing has stuck to both sides of the fabric. That's sort of makes life easier. So then when that's done, you just cut out you cut out around where the fabric is fused together. So you just kind of have one big piece of double fused fabric with the wire sandwiched in between. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go and cut out rough leaf shapes, really. And again, these can be abstract, these could be long, these could be short, but just try and get a piece of wire in each one that you cut out. So whether that be in the center, on the side, or anywhere really. But and you can make these long, you can make these short, you could make really big petals if you wanted, and again, put longer pieces of wire. But yeah, just cut out the basic random kind of shapes. And again, these are going to be refined later on, so don't worry about being exact with the shapes. Just kind of so that there's a piece of wire somewhere in the shape of what you're cutting out. So then you can go and kind of just shape them a little bit more so that the ends come to points, etc., and trim them down a little bit. And then what we are going to do is we're going to heat them up one by one, and when they are heated, we are going to take the iron off, and then we're going to, while it's still warm, we're going to twist them. So obviously the wire is in there, so that's going to make it easier to twist. And then we just set it aside. So and let it cool down. So again, you just want to heat them up really well, and while it's hot, twist them. And you can twist them as tight as you want. You can kind of really make them into little, you can double them up again and make them into tiny little balls almost. But yeah, just go ahead and do each and every one. And then kind of trim off the ends. And then when they've cooled down, you're going to untwist them. So, and you'll see that there's kind of like pleating, wrinkled from, where the heat has set them. And you just kind of unravel them and untwist them, and then obviously cut off the ends and kind of refine the ends a little bit. You can make them pointed, or you can cut them into whatever shape you want. You can round out the ends. Yeah, kind of just free form. Again, there's no kind of hard and fast rules. You just do whatever feels right to you. And again, you can if you did really wide petals, then you would have really big kind of petals, so you can make kind of any shape of a flower, like a gardenia or an orchid or anything really. So it's just kind of very it's up to you, and kind of playing around with it. And then once you have them all kind of rolled out, then we're going to start gluing them together. And you can just kind of like glue them together. And again, there's no rules. You just kind of put them all together and kind of form petals. You could form a center. You could form, um, you just kind of start forming the base of a flower. and and you can put as many layers as you want. You can have one layer, then you can build up another layer. So again, it's all kind of up to you and how you want your flower to look. If you have bigger petals, then again, it would kind of look like a chameleon or a um, orchid or a like an exotic flower. So then once you kind of have, a shape that you're happy with, then you can kind of go ahead and start decorating. I mean, you can put crystals if you have any other fake flowers, or parts of fake flowers laying around. You could put that as the center and then kind of build up around that. And again, because that Y is in there, you can kind of shape them to how you want, which is kind of fun because, again, it just looks so like, you can get some really beautiful silhouettes and shapes. Um, and then, yeah, they look great with crystals in it. Now, obviously, this tutorial is kind of quick and down and dirty, but you could go in and you could bead them with pearls, or fine seed beads, and kind of really refine the centers um, to however you want. But yeah, you could just otherwise you could just hot glue some crystals in. Now if you were doing like cosplay or a drag outfit, I mean, these could be, you could make them really oversized, and you could make kind of all different sizes. And then, at the end, you can just kind of go in and, again, refine the ends and, get them looking how you want them. Now, the second way we are going to do this is, that I'm going to show you is, and again, once you have the end, if you find that some are too long, you can just kind of go in and, finesse them and kind of glue them down where you want them, or, pull up, to give a bit more texture. So the second way we're going to do it is we're going to form loops. So we're going to form little loops of wire. So you're just going to, and again, no particular size. You could do big ones, you could do little ones. You're just going to do like a whole lot, and again, put them down on the fabric. And these can go really any direction, because they don't need to be all vertical or all horizontal. So then again, you're just going to fuse the two layers together, and just again make sure that the fusing does get the two layers. And again, don't worry about any kind of wrinkling or air bubbles. And then what we're going to do is going to get a piece of glass and a soldering iron and a hot soldering iron, and we are going to cut out around the edge of those loops. So this is going to seal the edge as well. And so then you just kind of go around, you can leave a little bit outside the wire. Um, and then, yeah, you just go all around each shape, and um, it'll go through and seal the edges and cut it out all at once. So then when you have done all of the shapes, then you can just pull them all off the glass, and uh, they're all ready to do the same step that we did before, which is where we iron them and twist them. And then you can also, again, do the same thing where you shape them however you want. And you can pinch the ends of the loop, you can make them pointed at the end, but because they're kind of pre-cut, basically the wires around the edge, they're going to keep more of a large petal shape, whereas the other ones, you could do long, thin kind of leaves, and these ones could be wider. And again, these could be really big, really wide pieces, and or whatever shape you wanted. So you could really bend the edges or pinch the ends so that you get a really pointed end like a leaf. And again, yeah, you just put them together and decorate them with crystals, and there you have it.